Here we're given an expression with a sine and a cosine, and we're asked to rewrite it using a single sine of the sum of two angles. So let's start by writing the formula for the sum of two angles. So whenever you have two angles added together in the sine, what you have is sine of the first times cosine of the second plus sine of the second times cosine of the first. I think that should have been a theta. There. And we've got this variable r here and here because of this. So let's write the expression that they've asked us to solve, and that's this. So if we write that, it's 2 times sine 2 theta plus 3 times cosine 2 theta. And if we recognize that this is this, and this cosine is this cosine, then that leaves r times cosine alpha to equal 2, and r times sine alpha equals 3. We can write that as two equations. We can say r sine alpha equals 3, and r cosine alpha equals 2. And if you divide the first expression or equation by the second, you get 3 over 2. So sine over cosine gives you tan. So you can rewrite it as alpha equals tan inverse 3 over 2. And remember, we're in radians here, so set your calculator in radians. You want the inverse tangent of 1.5, and that's 0.983. So that's the value for alpha. So we've found that. Now we need to find r. And the quick way to do that is to simply find the square root of these parameters squared. I mean, you could take this and substitute it into any of the equations and rearrange, but the quick way to get the exact value for r is to do it this way. So r is the square root of 13. So now we have r and we have alpha. We can write our final expression as square root of 13 times sine 2 theta plus 0.983. So this will be your final expression or your final answer. So we got the alpha from there, and we got r from there, and they said express this in this form, and that's what we've done. So that's the answer to the first part. The second part says hence. That means using what you just found, solve that. And if you look carefully, this is exactly the same as that. So you just have to solve sine, or r sine equals 1. So we simply solve this same expression equals 1. So you need to take a sine inverse, but before that we need to divide by square root of 13. So let's do that first. And then you take inverse sine, So 2 theta 1 plus 0.983 equals sine inverse 1 over root 13. Remember, we're in radians. So that gives you 0.281. So that would be our first answer, were it not for the fact that, well, first we need to simplify that, but also, more importantly, they want all the solutions in this range. Now, a sine would normally have two solutions between 0 and 2 pi, but because we have this coefficient here, I'm expecting 4 solutions. So let's see how many we can get. If this is 2 theta 1, we can find 2 theta 2 plus 983. And with sine, it's always pi minus your initial value. So it's pi minus 0.281. So that gives you 2.86. Let's find the next one. 2 theta 3 plus 0.983. Now, once you've found the first two, the next two, you can just add 2 pi to each of these. So I'm just going to add 2 pi to my first value. And that's going to give me 6.56. And then I'll add 2 pi to my second value. And I get 9.14. So 2 theta 4 plus 0.983 is 2 pi plus 2.86, 9.14. So now what we need to do is subtract 0.983 and then divide by 2. So it looks like that's going to be negative, but let's just find each of the values. So theta 1 equals 0.281 minus 0.983 divided by 2. That's minus 0.351. So that's not going to be acceptable because it's outside the range given to us in the question. So we're going to have to find a fifth solution. So let's move on and find the next one. That's 0.935. Or 939. And that's inside the range. Theta 3 is 2.79. And that's also inside the range. And theta 4 is 4.08. And that's inside the range. Let's see if we can get one more. So can I say 2 theta 5 plus 0.983? Let's try adding so this one didn't work because it was negative. This was okay, this was okay, this was okay. So I've added 2 pi to this to get that. I've added 2 pi to this to get that. Let's try adding 2 pi to this. $12.84. And I can now find theta 5 is $5.93. And that's also less than 2 pi. So these are our 4 solutions. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you can check these easily by just taking these values and substituting them back into the question that they asked.